Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I want us just to welcome you to Math Zone African Motives, whereby today I want us to look at Business Studies Grade 10. Uh, we are going to do Chapter 14, which is Relationships and Team Performance. So that is the last chapter of our Business Studies Grade 10, Term 4. So we are going to look at those notes. So let us be together from the start of this presentation to the end. And let's make sure that we are going to share with others. So without wasting much time, let us attend to chapter 14, relationships and team performance. So these are the objectives that the learning objectives after you study this topic. So go through these learning objectives. So let's quickly go to terms and definitions. Let's quickly go to terms and definitions. So here we are under terms and definition. So we have term uh, one, whereby we are going to talk about business objectives. So as it says, business objectives, the definition of business objectives is that it aims, that is the aims and goals of what? Of a business. That is the aims and goals of the business. So we are simply talking about the specific goals of company aims to achieve. So we are talking about specific goals a company aims to achieve. A company aims to achieve. That's when you're talking about the business objectives. That's when you're talking about the business objectives. So now we are moving on to strategies. We have this term, strategies. So now we have to define it. So strategies, these are the actions that business take in order to achieve the business objectives. These are the actions that the business take in order to achieve what? In order to achieve business objectives. So the strategies are plans to achieve business objectives. These are plans to achieve business objectives. So that is that. For example, we can say launching a new product line to expand a market share. So that is a strategy whereby you launch a new product line so as to expand your market share. So now moving on to values. There is this term called values. So the definition says principles or standards of behavior, a person's judgment of what is important in life. So in short, when you're talking about the values, you're talking about the guiding principles that shape behavior. We are talking about the guiding principles, guiding principles that shape behavior, that shape a behavior. So that is that. For example, when you're talking about values, we're talking about the integrity, we're talking about respect, innovation. So such can be our example. Now we are coming to a team now. A team is a group of people that work together towards a shared common goal. Towards a shared common goal. That is a team. We're talking about group of individuals working together. Group of individuals working together. Group of individuals working together. That's a team. For example, cross-functional project team. So those are group of individuals working together. Now we are coming to hierarchy now. We have this term hierarchy. So these are the terms that we're going to talk about throughout the chapter throughout this chapter 14. So it's very important that you know the terms, the terminology that you're going to come across in this chapter. Hierarchy now. Hierarchy, that is ranking of people by position and levels of authority in the business. So that is hierarchy. So organizational structure with ranked levels. So when you're doing of hierarchy, you're doing about what? Organizational structure with ranked levels. So that is that. We can talk about CEO, managers, employees. That's when you're talking about the organizational structure. Now we are coming to organizational structure. Like we've said, a hierarchy is an organizational structure with what? Ranked levels. Let's see. So now we are talking about organizational structure. It says it's a chart that outlines levels and position of employees in the business organizational structure. Meaning to say we're talking about a framework outlining the roles and responsibility. When we're talking about the organizational structure, we're talking about a framework. That is a framework outlining roles and responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities. So that is that. So that is organizational structure. Now we come to benefits. Benefits are advantage gained. Advantage gained. That's the benefit. Advantages or rewards. That is advantages or rewards. For example, you can talk about health insurance, retirement plans. Those are the benefits. Now we come to ethics. Ethics, set of moral values of an individual or group. So when you're talking about ethics, you're talking about moral principles guiding behavior. Moral principles guiding behavior. For example, ensuring fair labor practices. Those are the ethics. Now we come to diversity now. With diversity, we're talking about very different from one another in terms of culture, background, religion, and etc. So diversity, presence of differences within a group. We are talking about a presence of differences within a group. That's what we're talking about today, diversity. We are talking about a presence. We're talking about the presence of differences. Presence of differences within a group. Within a group. That's diversity. So we can talk about workplace with diverse cultures, ages, and abilities. So those are differences that we're talking about. Equity now. So with equity, it says treating people fairly and equally regardless of their differences. We're talking about the equality. When you're talking about equity, you're talking about fairness and justice in treatment. For example, ensuring equal opportunities for advancement. So that's equity. That's what equity means. Now, prejudice. The prejudice is to judge people based on characteristics such as gender, culture, religion, and color. That is a prejudice based on attitudes or judgment. So it based on is a biased attitude or judgments. That is a bias. That is a biased attitudes or judgments. Or judgments. So that is that. For example, assuming someone's ability based on their age. So now we come to discrimination, treating people from different groups unfairly. Treating people from different groups unfairly, that is a discrimination. That's unfair treatment based on characteristics. So now collaboration, working together with other people. So that is working together towards a common goal. working together towards a common goal, whereby we are saying departments are working together on a project. So that's collaboration that we are talking about. So now we are moving on now. So now we're moving on. So these are the terms that you are to know, terms and definitions that you have to go through before you can get into detail of this chapter. So these terms are the ones that you're going to talk about throughout this chapter. So now we are familiar with the terminology of this chapter. So now we are on the meaning of business objectives, meaning of business objectives, meaning of business objectives. It says the business objectives refer to the reason why enterprise exists. So why are we existing? What is our objective? What do we want to achieve? That is that. So we know that the main objective, the bottom line of the business is to make what? Profit. That is that. So now we are going to talk about types of business objectives. The first one is increased profit. Increased profit. That is wherever we are trying by all means to maximize financial gains. With this one, we are trying to say we maximize what? Financial gains. Maximize, that is maximize financial gains. For example, you reduce cost by 15% to boost profit margins. So that is why it says profit is the difference between income and expense. We know the profit is difference between income, business income and expense. That's when you talk about profit. Business can business can make a maximum profit by minimizing expenses. That is where we are trying by all means to reduce cost and maximize what? And maximize revenue. Profits are needed for the business to expand, replace, reward employees with bonuses, and increase in salaries. So profits are very important because with profits, we can expand our business. We can reinvest them to expand our business. We can plow back our profits into the business to grow it. We can make replacements, change certain equipments that are no longer okay. We can reward our employees. We can compensate them with profits so they can get their salaries from what? From profit. So it is business objective to increase what? Profits, because profits are very, very important. That is that. Hope we are together on that. So now let us move on to another type of business objective, which is increase productivity. So we increase the productivity. This is where we're saying enhancing efficiency and output. We are talking about enhancing efficiency and output. That's when we're talking about what? Increased productivity. So as it goes on, it says productivity is the amount of work an employee can deliver in a limited period. So that is the amount of work an employee can deliver in a limited period. High productivity means that the business can produce more products or provide services to more clients. So that is a high productivity. If you can have more production and then provide more services to more clients. Productivity means producing more without increasing costs. Where we can produce more with less cost. That's when you can say that is productivity. The more that products are sold, made without changes in costs, the more profit will be made. So you produce more with less cost. That is what we are saying is a productivity. So hope we are together on productivity as one of the business objective. One of the business objective is to increase our production, is to make sure that because the more production, the more sales and the profits are as well going to come. So now let us move on. Increased sales now is one of the type of business objective. Increased sales, that is whereby we are trying by all means to boost revenue through sales growth. That is boosting revenue through sales growth. Through sales growth. So that is why they say increasing the number of items sold will mean an increase in total profits at the end of the year. That is increased sales. So if you're going to increase the number of items sold, if you're going to sell more, it means that we are going to have what? Profits. You're going to have increased in total profits at the end of the year. So we are boosting revenue through sales growth. We are trying by all means to increase our sales. Now we are coming to survival. We are coming to survival. So survival, when you're talking about survival, we are ensuring business continuity. Survival will see it throughout continuance, whereby the business is still continuing. That is why we are saying this is where we are ensuring business continuity. Continuity. That is that. That is whereby you can even cut costs during economic downturns so that you know that you are still going to exist. So survival, they say this objective usually applies to when a business is just starting up or when there has been a crisis. When you are new in the market or when there is a crisis, like when I'm talking about the economic downturn and stuff like that. During recession, for example, the business may just want to survive and not to have to retrench, not have to retrench any staff. So that is whereby with survival, you are ensuring that you are still going to continue operating. So that is that. That is survival. Now we come to growth in market. Growth in market. Growth in market share. Growth in market, that is where you expanding market presence. That is expanding market presence. Expanding market presence. For example, entering new markets or acquiring what? Competitors. So you are trying to expand your market share. So the market is made up of people who purchase the products of the business. We know for us to have a market, that is when there is a people who are going to buy the product, who have money to buy the product. So that is a market. Market is made up of people who has money to buy what? Products, who are willing to buy a product. That's when you say this is a market. Every business selling the same product will attract a percentage of market. So every business selling what? The same product will attract a percentage of market. So that is that. So they will attract a percentage of what? Of the market. The business may make it their objective to increase their market share and eventually become the leader in the industry. So in the industry that your business is operating under, you're going to fight to be a leader in that industry. So for you to be a leader, that's when you can, that's only when you are market share. That's only when you have a large market share. It means now you're going to be able to serve many potential or customers in that industry. So that is when your business will show a growth if it has more customers that it's saving. So that is a growth in market share. Now we come to service now. Now we come to service. So with service now, we are trying to talk about a providing excellent customer safe experience. Providing excellent customer experience. Providing excellent customer experience. So, like it says, this objective is aimed at providing quality services to customers. So that's when you're giving what service of quality to your customer. So that is one of the objective, or that is one of the type of objectives of the business to provide quality service to your customer so that they can make what they repeat purchases, so that they will come again, so that they will remain with the business. The sales service that the business renders to its customers can give a business competitive advantage. That is true. The good service that you're going to provide to your customers is going to give a business what? A competitive advantage, because more customers or customers are going to make a return purchase. They will always want to come to your business, and that will give you an advantage. Business who provide quality service usually have a good public image and attract more customers. So if the service are good, are of quality, so the business is going to have what? Good public image, and more customers are going to come. Customers are going to come in numbers to your business. So more sales, more profit will be with that business, which is providing good service. So now let us move on. Now we come to the benefits of teamwork. Benefits of teamwork. So here we are on benefits of teamwork. The first one says the members of team learn from each other. Members of team learn from each other and grow. So we are talking about that team members share knowledge and expertise. We are saying team members share knowledge and expertise. So they share knowledge, as we are saying, team members are going to learn from each other. For example, we can say junior staff learn from experienced colleagues. That is that. The team achieves more than the individual. Team achieves more than the individual. Achieving more together. We are talking about that. Achieving more together. We are talking about the collective effort yields better results. That is that. Collective effort yields better results. So that is that. Collective, that is why I say the team achieves more than individual. So we are talking about what? Collective efforts yields better results. So that is that. Now let us move on to bullet number 3. Good teamwork helps business to achieve their objectives. Good teamwork help business to achieve their objectives. So teamwork drives business success. So teamwork drives business success. So that is that. We can talk about sales teams meet targets through coordinated efforts. The sales teams are going to meet the targets through coordinated efforts. Business are more Businesses are more productive. That is another one. That is another benefit of a teamwork. So business are more productive. So we're talking about increased productivity. So teamwork enhances what? Efficiency, like I've said in the beginning. Improved. The team performance of all members improves because they support each other skills. We are talking about the improved performance. Team members support each other's strength. That is that. So we are talking about improved performance. We are talking about the improved performance. As we are saying, the performance of all team members improves because they support each other's skills. So it means the team members support each other's strengths. Team work encourages workers to increase their range of skills. So here we are talking about what? Skill development, because teamwork encourages skill expansion. As we have said, we are saying teamwork encourages skill expansion. Teamwork encourages skill expansion. Encourages skill expansion. So that is that when you're saying teamwork encourages workers to increase their range of skills, gives employees more control over their jobs. Gives employees more control over their jobs. So we are talking about the employee empowerment, as it gives what? Employees more control over their jobs. So we are talking about the employee empowerment. We are talking about employee empowerment. So as we are talking about what? Teamwork gives employees more autonomy. So that is that. So now we are to move on. We are to move on. So now we are on ways in which business can create an environment that enables teams to work effectively. So this is where we are. This is where we are on ways. So on ways which business can create an environment that enables teams to work effectively. So the first one says the business should listen to employees when they share ideas. They should listen to employees when they share ideas. Listen to employees' ideas. So they are to listen to employees' ideas. This is where right now they're going to try by all means to involve employees. Involving employees shows respect and value for their input. That is that. This is where we are trying to do that. Involving employees shows respect. Shows respect and value for their input. And value for their input. And value for their input. So that is why we are to listen. Listen to employees' ideas. Listen to employees' ideas. So, for example, a manager asks staff for their suggestions on improving customer service. So that is that. Now we are moving on. Make important decision through a process of teamwork. Make important decision through what? A process of teamwork. So teamwork ensures collective problem solving. So we are talking about what? Problem solving. Where we are saying teamwork, they're going to ensure that there is a collective problem solving. So that is that. For example, a group discussion is held before launching a new product. So that is how we are going to make important decisions through teamwork. Hope we understand each other. Now we come to rewards. Rewards and mistake must be viewed as opportunities to learn and grow. Rewards and mistakes must be viewed as opportunities to learn and grow. So we view rewards and mistakes as a learning opportunities. View rewards and mistakes as a learning opportunities. This is why you encourage continuous improvement. That is going to encourage continuous improvement. For example, when a project fails, the team analyzes what went wrong instead of blaming. Hope we are together on that. Also, keep the communication channels open, facilitate participation, and make suggestions for discussion. So you keep communication channels open. Keep the communication channels open by ensuring clarity and participation. You're going to do that by ensuring clarity and participation. And participation. Example, having weekly team meetings to share updates. That is that. Now, acknowledge strengths of employees rather than being frightened by them. Acknowledge their strengths rather than being frightened by them. So that is where you're going to motivate employees and build trust. This is how you're going to do what? Motivate employees and build what? Trust. A manager is going to praise a worker for their creativity in solving problems. That's how you acknowledge strengths of the employees rather than be frightened by them. Encourage cooperation and make employees accountable for their work. So you encourage cooperation and accountability. You promote responsibility in teamwork. You promote responsibility in teamwork. That's what it means when you encourage cooperation. That's when you promote responsibility, responsibility in teamwork. Promote responsibility in teamwork. In teamwork. So you're going to make sure that each member is given a clear roles in a group project. That's how you promote what responsibility in teamwork. Ensure that employees are working towards the same goal. Ensure that employees are working towards the same goal. So alignment avoids confusion. Ensure employees work towards the same goal. So, for example, all sales staff focus on increasing sales by 10% in 3 months. So we see they're working towards the same goal. Gives employees the same respect regardless of their position. Respect employees regardless of their position. So that builds equality and fairness. That builds equality and fairness. So now let us move on. So now we are moving on the meaning now of the interpersonal relationships in the workplace. The meaning of interpersonal relationships in the workplace. So it says a business objective may be achieved by employees in the workplace. So you're talking about the achieving business objectives. Meaning to say employees' relationships affect what? Affect business success. That's why I say a business objective may be achieved by employees in the workplace. Employees' relationships affect success. So, for example, team cooperation helps meet what? Sales targets. Teams cooperation helps meet what? Sales targets. That's why we say business objective may be achieved by employees in the workplace. A working relationship now, a working relationship or employee circumstances or values, beliefs can impact on business performance. Can impact on business performance. So that is where we're talking about working relationship impacts business performance. Conflicts reduce productivity. You see, that is why I say working relationship of employees circumstances or their beliefs can impact what business performance. Like I'm talking about conflicts can reduce what productivity. Also, friendly staff relationships increase efficiency. You see, the relationship also plays important role. If there are no good relationships, that is going to impact the production negatively. But if there are friendly staff members, that as well is going to impact the productivity or the production of the organization positively. So that is that, the working relationship. Now, the degree of power and authority that manager possess depend on the level of management. Depend on the level of management. So manager's authority depends on the level. For example, power affects how staff relate to managers. Let's take, for example, a supervisor may give daily instructions, but a director sets long-term strategy. So that is always in the degree of power and authority that manager possesses depend on the level of management. Each individual plays a role in achieving business objective. Each individual plays a role. Everyone contributes to goals. That is that. Everyone contributes to goals. Even a receptionist adds value by creating a good first impression. That's what we're saying. Each individual plays a role in achieving business objectives. The quality of interpersonal relationship in the workplace has a direct influence on employees' levels of motivation and satisfaction. So quality of relationship influences what? Motivation. Example, we can talk about employees who get along work hard. So employees who get along, they work very hard because good relationships improve what? Satisfaction. So employees who get along, they work hard. So now the following factors may impact the quality of interpersonal relationship in the workplace. So they are talking about the style of management and type of management structure. So the style of management, easy autocratic managers may cause fear. The style of management, because all the decisions are concentrated on top. So autocratic managers, as you're talking about the style of management, autocratic, they can cause what? Fear. Then they're talking about the personal beliefs and attitudes of employees. Personal attitudes, easy positive stuff, attitudes, great harmony. That is that. Now the patterns of communication in the workplace, the patterns of the communication in the workplace. So patterns of communication, easy open communication prevents misunderstanding. Hope we are together and then let us move on. Let us move on. So now we are on factors that can influence team relationships and ways in which business can address these factors. Factors that can influence team relationship. So we are first going to talk about the prejudice. So, like we have talked about the prejudice in there, beginning. So we are now on it. They say prejudice is when disliking a person without any concrete reason. So whereby now you are disliking someone without any concrete reason. So, for example, refusing to work with someone because of their religion or because of the gender, that is that. Also, they are saying prejudice are based on gender, like they've said. Prejudice are based on gender or religion. So that is a prejudice. It is very difficult to work with a person who has strong opinions that are not based on facts. So that is a prejudice. They are biased. They are very biased because you are having opinions, very strong opinions that do not have facts. So that is that. Prejudice affects relationships between employees, team members, and make the working environment tense and unpleasant. So the prejudice are very affecting negatively when it comes to relationships. Because now you're going to judge people negatively, you're going to judge people based on their religion, based on their gender, without facts. That is that. So the personal attitudes and the prejudices of managers and other staff can result in discrimination and can wear down good communication and teamwork in the workplace. So personal attitudes or prejudice of managers and other staff result in discrimination because now there is going to be a discrimination of which now is going to affect the teamwork. So now we come to ways in which business can now address these sectors that influence teamwork relationship when we are talking about the prejudice. So he said, educate all workers about discrimination. So try by all means to educate people on discrimination, fully about it, how it's going to impact the business. So the disadvantage of discrimination. So try to teach all the workers about that. Encourage workers to respect others' differences. So like we've said, when you're talking about prejudice, we have said it's based on religion, because we have different religions, gender, we have male and female. So try by all means to encourage workers to respect our differences. They must know that we are different and we must respect that differences so that we can have what? Good relationship. So that we can be able to work towards one common goal of the organization. Respond to any evidence or complaints of inappropriate behavior. So respond to any evidence or complaints of inappropriate behavior, the behavior that is not appropriate. Deal with any complaints of discrimination promptly and judicially. So that is that. So now let us move on. Let us move on. Now we are on to discrimination. We are now on discrimination. So discrimination, as it says, it's about excluding. It involves excluding and restricting members of one group from opportunities that are available to other groups. So excluding or limiting people based on age, race, and gender. You exclude people or you limit people based on age, race, or gender. Example, promoting only men while ignoring equally qualified women. You see, you excluding or restricting members of group from opportunities that are available to other groups. You promote only men and then leave the women who are still qualified. That's being discriminating. That's a discrimination. So discrimination is based on religion, age, ethnicity, as well as gender, disability, skill, color, race. Discrimination in the workplace can lead to industrial action. So it can even lead to strikes. So now how are we going to address that? How are we going to address that? That is very important to know how business is going to address that factor to influence a team relationship. How are we going to address that factor? So this is where when we're told that identify signs of discrimination so that you're going to deal with them early before they can make a damage. Avoid favoritism and nepotism. So don't favor certain gender or certain religion. No. Keep your personal beliefs. Keep your personal beliefs personal. That is true. Be careful what you say to whom you say it, because we are different. Develop a policy against discrimination and the consequences thereof. That is how we can address that factor so as to make sure that we are going to have a good relationship. Now we come to equity. Now we are on equity. As it says, equity in the workplace means everyone receives fair treatment and, and equal access of opportunities. Fair treatment, equity means all people have equal access of opportunities. So you're talking about whereby now you are going to treat people equally. We are talking about the equality. Fair treatment and equal example, giving both male and female employees equal chances for promotion. That's what we are talking about. We're not talking about equity. Unfair treatment of employees hampers the achievement of objectives in the workplace. So how we are going to address this factor? Develop fair, respectful, supportive, inclusive workplace, whereby every person is respected, whereby they are going to have equal opportunities. Make judgments based on merit and fairness. You see, your judgments must be made based on merit and fairness. Recognize every person's contributions. So that's trying by all means to do what you call equity. Now let us move on to diversity now. Diversity. So diversity, that's when I say a diverse workforce includes people with different characteristics, giving people of different backgrounds, skills, and perspective. Example, we can talk about a team includes employees of different ages and races and abilities. So that is that. So it says diversity in the workplace means employees are different in terms of gender, race, age, religion, race, cultural, as well as ethnicity. So backgrounds of sexual orientation, religion, language, education, and ability. So how are we going to address this factor? Create inclusive policies and practices. Provide diversity in training on how to employees can deal with diversity issues. Also facilitate effective communication and encourage employee interaction in the workplace. Focus on employee strengths and similarities. So that is, so those are factors that can influence team relationships and ways to address them. So now let us move on to the criteria now. Now we move on to criteria for successful team performance. Criteria for successful team performance. So clear objectives and agreed goals. Clear objectives and agreed goals. So objectives must be clear and also the goals being agreed. Each member of the team must understand the purpose of the team, what they are meant to achieve. You need to know the purpose of the team. Why do we have this team? And what they are meant to achieve. The goals And objective must also be clear and measurable. Make sure that the goals are clear and measurable. Team members must be aware of the time frame in which the objective must be achieved. So time frame as well is very important. So that you say, by the end of this week, we want to have achieved this. By the end of this year, we want to achieve. There should be a time frame. There should be a time frame. So now we are moving on to interpersonal attitudes and behavior. Interpersonal attitudes and behavior. Members have a positive attitude of support and motivation towards each other. So there should be what? A motivation that is going to be amongst the members. That a motivation should reign amongst these members. So that is when they can be able to achieve the goals of the business. Because if they are motivated, that is going to make them to work very hard. And that is going to make them to work very hard to reach the set standard, the objectives of the organization. Sound interpersonal relationship, we are talking about healthy relationship now, will ensure job satisfaction and increase productivity of the team. So if the relationships are very good, it means the workers, employees are satisfied. They are going to do job happily, and that will increase the production and more profits are going to come. Members are committed and passionate towards achieving a common goal. So members should be committed and passionate so that they can achieve the common goal. Team leader gives credit to members for positive contributions. So the team leader should give credit where it's due to those employees who show more effort, who work very hard. Make sure that you are going to give credit to such members for their contribution so that they can see that they are recognized for their efforts. So now let us move on. Now we are on mutual trust and respect. Mutual trust and respect. Team members must respect other team members' skills and experience. So for those people who are highly experienced, who are more knowledgeable, so the team members must respect such because of the knowledge and experience they have. Mutual respect encourages each person to voice their opinions, ideas without fear of being ridiculed. So they are the mutual respect encourages them to bring their views, ideas without being ridiculed, without being ridiculed. Team members must treat each other and believe that each member of the team will do the work to the best of their ability. So that is that. A team must be able to solve conflict, disagreements by communicating and respecting each other's point of view. So they should be in position to solve conflicts and disagreements. So that will happen through what? Communication and respecting each other's views or points or opinions. So now let us move on to now communication. Now we are on communication. Now we are on communication. Communication must be open and honest. So that is when the problems can be easily solved. If the communication is open and honest, each team must feel free to speak out and ask questions. So each and every team member must be allowed to even ask questions. All information must be shared. So there is no other information that should be hidden. All the information must be shared openly. Good communication between team members may result in quick decisions. So that's that. Quality feedback improves what the morale of the team. So now let us move on to cooperation. Now let us move on to cooperation and collaboration. Cooperation and collaboration. So that is that. So now we're coming to cooperation or collaboration. So clearly defined realistic goals are set so that all members know exactly what is to be accomplished. So the goals must be set so that all the team members, they know what they are to accomplish. That is very important. Willingness to cooperate as a unit to achieve team objectives. That is cooperation. Willingness to work together so that you're going to achieve that one common goal. Cooperate with management to achieve team objectives. So there should be cooperation between the managers and the employees, the seniors and the subordinates, so that they will be able to achieve team objectives. Agree on ways to get job done effectively without wasting time on conflict resolution. So make sure that there is an agreement, because if we can have long debate, that will waste time for goals to be implemented. So make sure that we don't delay to get to an agreement, so that we don't waste time on conflict resolution. All members take part in decision making. So make sure that everyone is going to contribute, because if you don't allow fully contribution of members, it means you close other quality ideas outside. So make sure that all members are included in decision making. They bring out their inputs. A balanced composition of skills, knowledge, experience, and expertise ensures team achieve their goals. So that is a balanced composition of skills, knowledge, experience, expertise that ensures that team are going to achieve what their objectives. That is that. So now review of team process. Team members must stop regularly and examine how well they are doing. Must stop regularly and then try to see how well they are doing. Are they still in line with their objectives? Are they still on the right track? So that is that. They must review difficulties and obstacles so that they can find what solution. That is when they review what they are. They review the review of the team process. Now moving on, opportunity for individual and development. Opportunity for individual development. So it is important that each team member is able to share and learn new skills. That's when they can develop. So team members must remain keen students throughout their lives. That is when they can improve, because they can learn new skills. So sharing is very important. Each team member should have an opportunity to lead a meeting for growth's sake. Assessing yourself against criteria. Assessing yourself against the criteria for successful team performance. A team should use the criteria for successful team as the base for their assessment. So that is that. Each team member should ask himself or her the following questions. Is the team achieving the goals, objectives? So that is that. Is team achieving what? The goals of the business. That is what I'm saying. Is the team achieving the goals or objectives? So that is a question each team member should ask him or herself, so that he or she knows that the set objectives, set standards are achieved or not. Are team members able to resolve conflict and put the job first? Are we putting the job first? Are we able to solve the conflicts? Are they sharing information in order to get job done in the best possible? Do we share ideas? So that is that. So that we can make sure that you're going to come up with a quality at the end. Does each member recognize the value of other members? Do you recognize the value and importance of other members? Is the team leader happy with the results of the team effort? It is very important that each member should ask himself, is our team leader happy with the output, with the results that the team produced? Does each team member know their role in the team? So these are the questions that each team member must ask him or herself. So this is the end of chapter 14, term 4, business studies grade 10. So make sure that you're going to go through it and understand it, as it is going to be asked in our final examination for term 4. So thank you for your time. Please make sure that you're going to share with others, and please don't forget to hit the subscription button. Thank you very much.